The rich scent of roasted turkey mingled with the barely concealed tension that always seemed to season family gatherings in my parents' grand Victorian house. I smoothed the creases from my modest black dress, Macy's clearance rack. Not that Safia would let anyone forget that, and made my way to my usual seat, the quiet corner. Far from the carving station, and even farther from approval. "Olivia, darling," my mother called brightly, stationed like royalty behind the gleaming bird. "How's that little job of yours going? Still clocking those endless hours at, what was it again?" "Black Ridge Capital." "Mom," I said, voice even, "it's an investment firm." Marcus, my brother, let out a laugh into his wine. "Come on, she's a secretary. Let's not pretend it's more than it is. Filing, answering phones, thrilling." I took a sip of water, letting the jab land where it always did, somewhere irrelevant. It had been 5 years of this narrative, 5 years of them seeing what they wanted to see, a woman who settled, a placeholder in her own story. Meanwhile, I had quietly become one of the most influential figures in tech. "At least she's employed," Aunt Patricia offered, in that tone that made her support sound like a eulogy for ambition. David, my cousin, barely glanced up from his phone. "Not everyone can be Marcus. Didn't your hedge fund just land a massive deal?" Marcus puffed up, adjusting the designer tie his firm had gifted him. If only he knew who was actually pulling the strings. 800 mil, he said proudly, "Firm's biggest deal yet." I dabbed my lips with my napkin, concealing a smirk. That deal? Orchestrated by me, through a shell company. My team had walked Marcus through every fake negotiation, and he'd bought every word. "That's what real success looks like," my father boomed, raising a glass. "Not coffee runs and photocopies." My mother nodded. "Olivia, maybe Marcus could help you transition into something more aspirational. If only they knew about quantum dynamics, about the breakthroughs in AI, about the acquisitions, the patents, the global influence, but they didn't." To them, I was still the girl who settled. "I like where I am," I said, calm and unshaken. "It's fulfilling." Sophia rolled her eyes. "That's the issue. You always aim low. Lave. No ambition, no fire, just your little desk job while the rest of us actually strive for something." A ripple of agreement followed. Even the youngest cousins, who once idolized me, now mirrored the condescension they'd been taught. They wouldn't be smiling tomorrow. Fortune magazine was set to release its annual 500 list in the morning, and with it, the illusion they all clung to would dissolve. As if summoned by fate, Marcus took a sip of bourbon and bragged, "We're locking down the Peterson account next." Had to outmaneuver some phantom tech firm that's been snatching up assets left and right. I nearly laughed. That portfolio? Signed, sealed, and mine, this morning. David, still lost in his phone, froze, his brow furrowed. Then his eyes darted up to me, down to the screen, up again. "Holy shit," he whispered. "Language," Aunt Patricia snapped, but David didn't blink. "Olivia," he said, voice hushed but urgent, "why is your photo on Fortune's homepage?" The room froze. Marcus lunged for the phone, but David read aloud. "Quantum Dynamics CEO Olivia Bennett enters Fortune 500 as secretive tech mogul behind $2 billion empire." Silence. I laid down my fork. The tension tasted better than the turkey. Marcus's complexion drained. My mother's back sagged. Sophia's wine paused midair. $2 billion? My father croaked. "You're a secretary." I reached into my bag, pulling out the glossy advance copy of Fortune's issue. My face graced the cover. "Actually," I said, placing it gently in front of them, "we passed $3 billion this week. Market's been kind." The turkey was cold now, but I didn't mind. Best meal of my life. Sophia's glass clinked hard against the table, crimson wine creeping across the snowy white tablecloth like spilled secrets. Marcus's voice cracked. "This is a prank, a stunt." I took out my phone, opened a secure banking app, one reserved for those in an entirely different financial league. "Would you like to see the account summary, dear brother?" I asked sweetly. "Or perhaps we can discuss your firm's newest investor, the Peterson account you think you're closing next week?" His face drained faster than the wine soaking into Mom's pristine tablecloth. "That was you?" His voice cracked. Quantum dynamics now owns 60% of the portfolio you've been chasing, I said evenly. We acquired it this morning, and I have to say, excellent negotiation skills. Marcus, you only overpaid by about $200 million. Dad gripped the edge of the table, knuckles white. But, your job at Black Ridge Capital is real, I confirmed. I do work there. I just didn't mention I bought the firm 3 years ago, through a holding company. I met Marcus's stunned eyes. So yes, technically, you've been working for me all this time. The turkey was forgotten. The silence was deafening. Aunt Patricia's fork clattered to her plate. David was furiously Googling, his jaw falling lower with each headline. Oh my God, he whispered. You're her, the anonymous tech CEO, the AI genius. That's you. Mom's voice wavered as it finally returned. Why didn't you tell us? We're your family. I met her gaze, unwavering. Like when you told me I'd never make it in business? When Marcus said I should stick to answering phones? When Sophia advised me to find a husband because I wasn't built for corporate life? Dad stammered. We were trying to protect you. No, I said, calmly but firmly. You were trying to limit me. Trying to keep me in the corner you built for me, the quiet one, the failure, the forgettable daughter. But I outgrew that story. My phone buzzed. A message from my CFO. 12% surge in after-hours trading. Peterson deal already paying off. Marcus shot up from his seat. I need to call my office. They're closed, I replied. It's Thanksgiving, but don't worry, termination letters won't go out until Monday. He froze. Termination? I pulled up the SEC filing draft on my phone. Your activity with the Thompson Fund triggered multiple compliance flags. Quantum Dynamics has a zero-tolerance policy on insider trading. As your employer, I'm required to report it. You're firing me? His voice hit a pitch I hadn't heard since childhood. I'm your brother. And I'm your boss, I said quietly, one who believes in accountability. Sophia shot up, her dress swishing like a curtain closing on a bad act. You vindictive little. Careful, I cut in, eyes on her. Your prenup has a morality clause. Marcus's legal issues could leave you with nothing, unless you count the designer bags, assuming they weren't purchased with insider trading cash. The room erupted. Mom sobbed silently. Dad stared at his hands like he no longer recognized them. Aunt Patricia whispered a prayer. My cousins gossiped under their breath, all suddenly very, very interested in the woman they'd dismissed. I stood, adjusting my simple dress. I have a meeting early tomorrow, I said. We're acquiring an AI firm in Singapore. Time zones don't pause for family meltdowns. Wait, Olivia, please, Dad said, desperation cracking his voice. We can fix this, as a family. I turned in the doorway. Was it family when you cut off my college fund for choosing computer science instead of business? When you told everyone I was unstable for quitting my job to start coding? When you shorted my company's stock hoping I'd fail? Mom's voice was a whisper now. We didn't know. Exactly. You never asked. You never saw me. You were too busy glorifying Marcus's mediocrity to notice the empire I was building. David looked up, voice hesitant. The tech charity, the one helping underprivileged kids? That's yours too? I nodded once. Someone had to invest in those no one believed in. Might as well be the family disappointment. My phone buzzed again. Your car is waiting. My driver. Mom reached toward me. Don't go like this. Please talk to us. I've been talking for years, I said quietly. You just never listened. But don't worry, people tend to hear billionaires. As I stepped outside, I heard Marcus's phone ring. Probably his broker. Probably bad news. I paused at the edge of the driveway and turned back. Through the window, they were still seated, still frozen. Thanksgiving shattered by truth. My driver opened the door. Where to, Miss Bennett? I smiled. To the office. There's more work to be done. Because this wasn't just vengeance. It was a new blueprint for what power could look like. For every overlooked woman who chose results over recognition. The next morning, the world knew my name. Forbes, Bloomberg, The Wall Street Journal. The Quiet Revolution, Olivia Bennett's billion-dollar empire built in silence. I sat behind my desk, not the cubicle they imagined, but the top floor of Quantum Dynamics Tower. A skyline view of the city I now shaped. Jessica, my assistant, stepped in with a coffee. Your mother's called 6 times. I took the cup. And finally smiled. Your father's trying to reach the board members, and Marcus. Marcus has bigger problems now. I pulled up the morning headlines on my tablet. SEC launches probe into major hedge funds trading activities. The headline was diplomatic. The truth? Brutal. Jessica stepped in. The family lawyers are in the lobby. They're demanding a meeting. I took a slow sip of coffee. Let them wait. I have real work to do. My phone buzzed. A text from David. Holy cuz, just saw the stock spike. Why didn't you tell me? I smiled. Last night, when he'd read the Fortune article, his awe had been genuine, not bitter, not jealous. Of all of them, he'd always asked about my code, my ideas. Maybe it was time he had a seat at the table. Jessica's voice interrupted my thoughts. The Singapore deal is ready for your sign-off. I nodded and turned to the wall of screens. Real-time AI performance metrics pulsed with data from across the globe. They thought I was pushing papers. All this time, I'd been pushing limits. The intercom buzzed. Your brother's wife is here. She's adamant. Send her up, I said. Time to finish what last night had started. Sophia stormed into my office like a storm wrapped in couture, branded rage, lip gloss, and righteous indignation. She stopped mid-step, eyes scanning the panoramic skyline view, the modern command center of an empire she never believed I could build. You destroyed him, she snapped. Your own brother. I stood. No, Marcus destroyed himself. I simply chose not to protect the wreckage. I walked slowly toward her. He's being charged. He's facing what he's earned. Something this family never believed in, consequences. She slammed an envelope on my desk. His career, our life. You stole everything. I raised a brow. You really want to talk about theft? About offshore accounts? The embezzled client funds you helped hide? I own the banks you used. I bought the firms you thought would bury your paper trail. Empires teach you to monitor everything. Her face cracked. What do you want? She whispered. I returned to my chair, calm, composed. Nothing from you. I already have everything. The question is, what do you want to do now? I don't understand. Marcus is going down. Your assets are frozen. That prenup? It doesn't shield you from fraud. Not this kind. She sank into a chair, hollowed out by truth. You thought of everything, she said quietly. That's what we quiet ones do, I replied. We observe, we learn, then we execute. My phone buzzed. The Peterson deal had gone public. Stock, plus 15% in the first hour. I leaned forward. There's one way out for you. What is it? Tell the truth. To the SEC. All of it. Help them unravel what Marcus built. And in return, I'll make sure you have just enough to disappear and rebuild. You'd help me? Not for you, I said. For the principal. Someone in this family should finally choose integrity over image. She stared at me, truly stared, then slowly nodded. 30 minutes later, Sophia left. Pale but purposeful, carrying documents that would trigger federal indictments. Jessica entered with a fresh update. Your parents are still downstairs, and the Harrison Tech Board, your father's company, just called an emergency session. Investors are pulling out fast. I smiled. Harrison Tech, the same company that had withdrawn my tuition funding. That had mocked my startup. That had shorted my IPO. Now their fall was just a byproduct of progress they tried to ignore. One more thing, Jessica added. David's here. Says he wants to pitch you an idea. I nodded. Send him up. Time someone in this family learned what real mentorship looks like. My phone buzzed again, this time, from my mother. Please, Olivia, let's talk. As a family. I typed a single reply. I'm in my office. Top floor of the building with my name on it. Come see what the quiet one built while you weren't looking. Because success wasn't just about proving them wrong. It was about being seen, finally, undeniably seen. The morning sun hit the Quantum Dynamics logo on the skyscraper's crown. From their house on the hill, they could probably see it now. Let them look up.